Almost there. Bam. Welcome everybody. Live tonight on YouTube, Coach Neighbors and Advocates for Justice Paralegal Service. You about to find out, if you haven't figured out yet, we do more than foreclosure defense. So tonight, I got three people got some comments over there. I can get to those later, I guess. Let me give myself a thumbs up. I want you guys please to make sure you give me a thumbs up because I need them likes so YouTube know that I'm bringing fire to the table. So I'm really excited tonight to be here. We're talking about something different tonight, something that makes me almost as excited as talking about kicking attorneys' ass. But excuse me, this could be a family show, right? So tonight we're going to talk about something different. If you haven't seen my post on Facebook, then you're still in the dark. Tonight, I'm going to show you how to handle traffic tickets or an arrest for a misdemeanor traffic violation. So we're going to get off the beaten track and get on another beaten track. You will learn that you have more power than you know. You just need to learn how to use it. And we're also going to teach you about the traffic citation trap. Yep. Now, don't think I just made that up. This is the benefit that group members get and people who invest in my program. I get to hear what's going on all across the United States from all these different people. So I hear part of the story over here about what's going on over here. I hear a story about what's going on over here. And even though I may not get the whole story, or I get the whole story, but it ain't the true story because the shit just don't add up right, I'm able to figure out what's missing. And you'll see what we're talking about a little bit later on tonight. The citation traffic trap, the traffic citation trap, the trap of citation traffic okay, never mind. I got a little carried away. I'm excited about this. I really enjoy teaching people how to handle police. Now, we got on this subject. I had a young man named Chris. I think he's in a Facebook group. His name is Chris. That contacted me. This young man is a military veteran. He is a retired disabled military veteran. He's never been in any trouble. And we got to communicating. And his situation, he was driving down the street and he turned into a street that had been blocked off. And when he turned around to come out of the blocked off street, the police pounced on him and started giving him a hard time. Well, this young man told a police officer, I don't answer questions from the police. So if you're arresting me or detaining me, are you detaining me? And so by now the police officer is pretty mad because you know how they are when you don't just follow along and kiss their butt. And so this guy got arrested for resisting arrest without violence, which sounds pretty stupid to me. So I looked it up now. This all happened last night. I'm kind of late getting on today because I wanted to do this and it took me a minute to get everything together. So I haven't finished doing my research on it, but what I did research on, what I found was that in the state of Florida, resisting arrest without violence is actually the same, they use the same statute for resisting arrest. And that same statute they use for resisting arrest without violence. Now, I haven't double checked this yet, but usually I don't need to when it comes to their fraud. Now, here's the thing. Resisting arrest without violence, if it's attached to resisting arrest, what that means is that the attorneys made that shit up and are using it to get away with the shit they're trying to do. But it doesn't matter whether the attorneys made it up or not. Remember, a statute does not have the necessary elements to be a valid law. Now, if you're new, you're probably asking, what the hell does that mean? Well, what that means is that a statute does not have the three elements that your state constitution mandates must be present in order to be a valid law. And those three elements are: the state constitution mandates that for something to be a valid law, you have to have an enacting clause, you must have a title, and you must have a body. Out of those things, the title and body is pretty explanatory. The enacting clause is really the main part. The enacting clause tells everybody from what authority the law came from and who's subject to following it. So that's pretty important. So when they throw these laws out, you want to know if they came from the Constitution, legislation, or if they came from a private corporation that's throwing your ass under the bus. You see what I did with that, right? Yeah. So if the laws, the statutes, if the statutes are not valid laws, then they cannot provide jurisdiction to the court. See, that's how all this, you want to start at the gate, because if you start at the gate, there's nothing to argue. And at the gate, there's no injured party. And the state can't be injured. We'll talk about that later. I'm also going to introduce my new $3.5 million sanctions against the traffic court prosecutor. And you will be able to file this against the officer as well. And I just put this together for this young man to get control of that situation, so he can put himself in position to file the $75 lawsuit against the prosecutor and the police officer also. And the $75 lawsuit, he's going to have to take out the Fair Debt Collection Act practice part of it, but the Administrative Procedures Act violation and the violation of the Foreign Agent Registration Act all apply. And that's the fire anyway. I just threw the Fair Debt Collection Act practice in there because I could. I'm doing like they do, just throw a bunch of shit in there. But my shit makes sense. That's more than I can say for them. Okay, sorry, I got carried away. So this motion for sanctions that I put together, we're going to talk about it a little down the road also. But first, I want to remind you guys to click on those wonderful ads that pop up so I can get paid. When I get paid, you get the break. That's how that goes. YouTube pays me, you get the break. So make sure to click on that ad, go get another beer or something, whatever it is you do. But don't mention it because I don't want to know. I don't want to be it. Okay, sorry. So please subscribe to my channel. That's really important, because when you subscribe to the channel and click that and click the bell, you get notification when it's time to when class starts, because you don't want to be late, because you late, it's going to be time to run. And make sure that you leave a comment, because those comments are very powerful and they allow you, the algorithms to show my stuff to more people, which means more people are getting an opportunity to not only save their house from foreclosure, but you get an opportunity to kick the attorney's butt. And tonight you're going to learn how to kick the police ass. So y'all hang on. And this is something that I have some firsthand experience at. And that's when I started doing this business. Well, I was harassed by the police and the federal government, and for 33 months. And they harassed me and shipped me all over the place for a mental evaluation because I refused to shut up. Imagine me having a problem shutting the hell up. Anyway, so they forced me to learn what I know, and I enjoy sharing it with others. So when I got out of their forcing me to take the mental evaluations for 33 months, there were 12 charges against me in federal court. When I went in to start my taking the mental evaluations for 33 months. There was only 3 cases against me, and 1 had been dismissed. Yeah, it took me 2 years to get all of that shit dismissed and out of my face. And boy, the police was pissed. When I got back home, the police was not happy to see me driving around with no federal charges, no state charges, no charges at all. Just some anger. Well, I decided not to let the anger eat the inside out of me, because when you have hatred in your body, when you have hatred, it in your heart, it sucks up the space for love. So I got rid of that. But I still like kicking the ass, teaching people how to do it. So that's what we're going to do tonight. So when I got out, I wanted to start learning how these court processes work and how it works on the other side when you're not chained in shackles and being dragged in from the basement elevator. So I drove around without my seatbelt on. And the police officer started pulling me over. Oh, yeah. So my truck has a signage on the side of it. I had a delivery service. So they knew who I was. And I drove the same truck for like 23 years. So they knew who I was. And boy, they was jumping right on it to pull me over. Of course, it didn't help when I drove by and waved at them. And I did do some other gestures at them, but I don't think I need to do them here. I think you can figure out. You can figure out what they were. Anyway, so I got 3 seatbelt tickets. You know, the $10 seatbelt tickets, and I refused to pay them. And then I started studying, and I started finding out what we're going to talk about tonight. Yep. And I moved those 3 seatbelt ticket cases from traffic court over to federal court because I filed a claim against the state court judge. And the state court judge, well, once you file a claim, well, okay, so, and we'll talk about this in a minute. The judge in traffic court is not a judge. He's an attorney that's been appointed by the city to screw people over in traffic court. And if you've ever wondered why the hell traffic court is down the stinking street and not connected to state court, it's because all of that shit they're doing is illegal. And municipal court gets its jurisdiction from the city ordinance. And not, yeah. So we'll get into that in a minute. We're going to start at the gate. When the officer, so the traffic ticket facts, that's what we're going to talk about first here. Because you got to understand some of this stuff. So when I get down to the bottom half of this, you'll know why I'm rolling the way I am and what's going on. So traffic ticket facts. When an officer signs a summons, it is a violation of the separation clause in the Constitution. Clear, plain, simple. There ain't no arguing. The officer's in the executive branch, and in order for that summons for you to appear in court to be valid legally and within your constitutional rights, it must be signed by a judicial officer of the court, not the same executive officer. Separation clause mandates that the branches of the government be separated to prevent, you know what I'm going to say, fraud, the F word, the F-R word. There's a couple of F words, but okay, come on, work with me now. Okay, fraud, that's the F word we're talking about now. And that's not what's happening. Oh, how could that be a little inconvenient for them to have to get the prosecutor to sign before they, because then the prosecutor has to drive their happy ass out to wherever it is. I don't know. Right now, they're not doing it right. So I called their ass out on it. And when I moved the case to federal court, because the rest of the state court judges would have a conflict of interest when I moved it to federal court, it was a problem for them. And they still try to stall. I don't know. I guess their thing is if they stall long enough, you'll go away and sit down. So, but that's not what happened. They stalled, and then I filed a motion. I filed a restraining order against the judge to block the judge from continually, the appointed bar member from continually making determinations without doing it within the Constitution. And they still kind of dragged their feet. So then I filed a restraining order to block the police department from continuing to issue citations the way they were doing them in violation of the Constitution. And they were still dragging their feet. I guess they're just not used to anybody whipping their ass. So when they're getting a beat down, they're not sure what to do, but they drag their feet again. So I filed a complaint in court to challenge the federal government's funding that they were given to the state, to block the funding that they were given to the city of Lawrence, to the state of Kansas, because they weren't following the laws. The state has to provide the rights for the people that live in the state, or the federal government can. So yeah, I didn't really think that was going to do it, but I did it. Well, I got their attention in federal court, and after a year and a half, they finally called me one day and wanted to know how we can figure out a way to make this go away. So, and that was an interesting phone call too, because they called me out of the blue, and they started, telling me that they had all these people there and ready to do it. I'm like, well, no one said anything to me about it. Then the judge stepped in and said, "Oh, Mr. Neighbors, I'm right back here, and yeah, and I was like, well, I was right in the middle of something. I would be glad to call you guys back in about 10 or 15 minutes, So they're like, well, yeah, that'd be great. I've got the city prosecutor here, the city attorney. I was like, hey, everybody. I know they love me, Yeah, so I hung up and I waited. Of course, my wife's like, well, what are you doing? I said, I'm putting their ass on ice, sweetie. That's what you call it. Putting their ass on ice. I'll call them back when I get it ready. Yeah, so I waited about 20 minutes. I wanted to make sure they knew who was in charge of this one. But yeah, So yeah, I called them back, and they asked me what it would take to get this to get it handled. And I told them I want the police department to stay out of my face unless there was blood on me. No offense, but I've never had any problem with, in the 42 years that I lived in this town, I've never had any problem with anybody from the sheriff's department. So if the police need to talk to me, they can send the sheriff's department over. And I told them I wanted to leave my lawsuit moot because I didn't feel like the police department were going to follow any of the rules that the court laid down, because that's the reason we're here now, because they're not following the damn rules. Yeah. And so that's the way that ended. I didn't get my $5.5 million, but yeah, they don't bother me no more. So, so here's the deal, guys. In my program, you're not going in asking the judge to give you shit. Okay, I ain't asking them to give me nothing. I ain't asking none of them to give me shit. I'm going to take what I need, and I'm going to take it after they sit down and give up. That's how I roll. We're going to make them give up, because when they quit, there's no appeal. There's only the settlement, and the settlement can be that they leave you the hell alone. So, and you can only have one goal, in my opinion, one main goal. And in foreclosure defense, it's to for you to stay in your house. In this traffic situation, BS, it's going to be to leave you alone, I guess. You can decide on your own what you want that to be. So the ticket facts. So the officer is in violation of the separation clause of the Constitution as soon as the officer signs that summons for you to appear. And municipal court gets its jurisdiction from the city ordinance. The city ordinance. And if you don't believe me, look up the municipal court manual for your court, the municipal court clerk's manual for your state, and read it. You're gonna be like, what? They don't have jurisdiction to fine anybody. They don't have the authority to do nothing. That court is, I'm like reading that. Are you kidding me right now? These are people that are trying to take my damn $10. Okay. Yeah, well, I don't care if it was thinking $2. I was not paying. So no corporation can give itself judicial authority. I'm like, what the hell? Are you kidding me right now? Have you ever wondered why a traffic court is down the street and not even connected to state court? Like I said earlier, the traffic court judge is not a judge, but a bar member appointed to operate their fake traffic court to bring in a ton of revenue from scared ass people and a lot of stupid people. When I was in traffic court, when I was leaving out, I seen a lot of people that I knew, and they were like smiling big time because the judge was pissed and he was still talking and I was walking out. But some of them people up in there still smell like alcohol. I'm like, are you kidding me? Yeah, I saw one guy in the store like, hey, dude, no, man, I can't help you. Okay, I don't help people who drink and drive. I'm sorry. You might run my ass over. Okay, sorry. So Google the court clerk's manual for your state and read the rules. Read yourself. The rules the court must abide by and where they get their jurisdiction from and all of that. And when you understand that, then this other shit that we about to talk about is going to be a piece of cake for you. Now, one of the things that I tell people when you enroll in my program, and this young man, I told him that too. He also invested in my online course, and I told him, "You're going to learn how to start having fun." He was telling me how he was having trouble sleeping and worrying about this stuff. Dude, you need to step up and get educated so you'll be able to use the power that you have, because you got a lot of power. But over the years, the attorneys have lied to you every day to steal your hope and that power. But I'm going to show you how to get that shit back. So let me check here before we start on this next subject. The next subject is handling yourself when officers are harassing you. Yeah, but I need to check and see who else here tonight. Hey, James and Ralph. Ralph says, I got a camera ticket. Asla, you're so funny. That's all right. I take your funny in a good way, because that's how I roll. Sometimes people call me and I don't get all wrapped up in shit, and they get mad sometimes. And I'm like, dude, if you want to roll with me, you're gonna have to learn how to relax, because just because we relaxing and having fun don't mean we ain't punching the hell out of somebody. So so Ralph says, I got a camera ticket. So Ralph, I'd move to dismiss that camera ticket because there's no injured party, and there's nobody to show up for you to cross-examine. So you can't cross-examine a fucking camera. I mean, a camera, sorry. You can't cross-examine a camera. So that's ridiculous. A camera ticket's BS. And some states, they're getting away. They have taken that shit down because people are challenging it. If someone's saying you read a red light, they need to be able to sign an affidavit that they saw that. A camera can't sign no affidavit that they saw you do anything illegal. So that's how I would handle that. And then that $75 lawsuit that I put together, the Administrative Procedures Act of 1946 attacks these corporations for not having their rules and policies in line with the Constitution. And the person that sent you that ticket probably is an attorney. And I can tell you right now, the attorney has not filled out their foreign agent registration paperwork. So that $75 lawsuit that I put together that people are jamming up the judge with and the attorney with, you need to just take out the Fair Debt Collection Act practice stuff and use that lawsuit to jam in their face. I was filed on the prosecutor. I was filed on the police officer, and if the judge rules in the case against you, that judge has to it too. Bam. James Galley says, if it came in the mail, just ignore it. I didn't know about that, James, because I would not ignore anything that came in the mail, because if you ignore it, they could go ahead and process your shit and have that thing filed against you, and then when you don't pay, jam you up, and then you'll get pulled over, and you'll find out that they restricted your driver's license because you didn't answer to that shit. So no, I would answer to it. I would not answer to anything, because That's what they want. When you don't answer, then you're in agreement by acquiescence. That's the word I'm looking for. You're in agreement by acquiescence if you don't answer. Because if you don't answer, they're assuming that you agree. And they do this a lot when you file stuff in court with the magistrate judge. The magistrate judge does not have a right to be involved in your case without consent from all parties. And they send you out a paper. Well, sometimes they send you out a paper asking for consent to the magistrate. Most people just throw it away. But if you don't send it back to them, then they feel like you're in agreement because you didn't object. Now, James Galley, I didn't say it wouldn't work for you, but I'm the coach here, and I'm just saying that's not how I would handle it. I would never sign the ticket. No, I never signed anything of their shit. Now, we're going to talk about that in a minute. So I'm not shooting down what you said, James. I'm just saying I'm the coach, and that's not the way I would suggest to handle it. Because when you don't sign it, a ticket, now there's maybe something. I mean, I'm not talking about signing the ticket. What we're talking about earlier, when you're ignoring something that they mail you. Okay, I would never ignore that. People do that with foreclosure. I was like, there's a process of service that they can do by posting it in the stinking newspaper and be done with it and still take your shit while you're over here hiding with your head in the hole. So that's kind of how I look at that. So let me get back on focus here and finish up the next module. So handling yourself when officers harassing you. Now, one of the main reasons that I'm helping Chris is because I was very impressed at how he handled himself. When I talked to him, what he told me, how he handled himself with me, and how he handled himself with the police. And I did ask him to send me over the report because I wanted to read it and see how they roll with this so I could figure out how to put a package together. And when I read the police report, I could see that Chris handled the situation from the police reports, from the police officer's perspective. Chris handled the situation exactly the way he said he did to me. And sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes people get so maxed out, they just, So what he did that I was impressed with is that he told the police officer he don't answer questions from the police. He's invoking his right to remain silent and refuse to answer questions. The police asking questions about turning in or whatever. And now, the problem was the trap they set up for him. Yeah, that was the problem. We'll talk about that in a minute. He told the police officer he's not answering any questions. And he refused to give the police officer his driver's license. And police officer ran, they can run your tags and they can get a description of what you look like and all of that and put that shit together and find out that your tags are all fine and your height and you're black or whatever what color you are and all of that. But they were kind of pissed because he wasn't scared of them. And of course, he told me later, he was, yeah, he was. And I said, dude, that's all right. I used to be that way in court. I stand talking crap. I ain't scared you, man. Yeah. And I'm hoping that I'm talking loud enough so they can't hear my knees knocking together. So I told him that, you'd be crazy not to be scared, but you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can't, okay, you guys watch TV. That's where I got that from, on TV, okay? But funny how the police officer is going to get pissed off when you invoke that right. And he asked the police officer, are you detaining me? Am I arrested or are you detaining me? And he said, well, you are being detained. And then they eventually told him he was being arrested and arrested him for resisting arrest without violence. I'm like, I've been doing this for a minute and I ain't never heard of that shit. So I just did a quick lookup of it. I didn't spend too much time on it in Florida. And they used the same statute for that they use for resisting arrest. And after a couple of checks, these attorneys' websites tell you the story. Attorneys' websites had both of those together as the same statute. Total bullshit. But that's what these attorneys do. Have people call me, oh no, dude, you're wrong. Your lawsuit package is right here. But I Googled it. You did, yep. And so how many pages did you look at? Well, it was right on the first page. Like, okay, dude, attorneys post that shit. If you want to learn anything, you ain't gonna learn it on the first page, because first page is page attorneys post shit on, and it's a page that people pay to have their shit on there. Okay, and that shit it's not generally what you need to help you if you're doing the shit that you need to be doing to save your ass or to save your house. So you're gonna have to go back more than the first page. But here's the deal: I've been doing this for a minute, and I can sift through their shit. A normal person who hasn't had the hours and hours and hours and days and months and years of picking at their shit would not be able to pick through a lot of what they're saying is, but it is not. So, and I just tell people, look, I've done my homework. What I put on the paper and I put on my site to go to people to help them, I've done the homework on. In most cases, I've used myself or for a family member. And I am not going to redo my homework because somebody else wants me to explain everything to them, make them understand so they can use it, because they don't have time to do the homework like many years. You see what I'm saying? So to me, it's a little bit crazy to think that that you're going to call me for help, and then if what I'm saying you need to do don't add up to what you think it should add up to in your brain, that my help is bullshit. And I'm thinking, if the other program was working, you wouldn't need my help. So, yeah. So I don't really spend a lot of time re-explaining myself. I mean, I try to explain to people so they understand, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time trying to go over and over and over stuff. And you need to remember, my program changes all the time. I had a lady telling me, okay, so this lawsuit package, the $75, it says I have to, or the foreclosed law says I have to list the attorney as number one defendant. Yeah, well, the attorney's not the one who signed. The trustee signed. So do you know the trustee? No. So how do you know the trustee signed? And the trustee can't sign shit, because the trustee is just a name. It's a corporation, and it doesn't have arms or legs. So the attorney and the corporation signed. They could not understand that. I was like, look, it don't matter who signed. What you need to do is you need to add whoever signed the document to start the foreclosure against your house. In non-judicial, that would be the notice of default letter, or in the judicial, it'd be the summons, the petition, or the complaint, or whatever. Whoever signed that is the person that you need to add as number one defendant to your lawsuit. And this person kept arguing with me, but it wasn't the attorney. How do you don't know that? I don't care who it was or what it was or their fake names that they use. Whoever signed is who you need to sue, because that's who's suing you. If James George is the one that signed, James George is the one that's suing you, not the trustee. The trustee can't do shit. That's just a corporation name. So you need to keep that in mind. When the police harass you, the best thing you can do is refuse to answer their questions. I'm going to plead the fifth. I don't want to say anything to incriminate myself, because anything you say in a traffic stop is going to be twisted up and used against you. And I think this young man did a great job of sticking to his decision not to answer questions, no matter what they did to him. And you'll see in the end how this is going to work out. So Next, we're going to look at challenging traffic courts' lack of jurisdiction and why that's a problem. And this was a criminal charge, which is totally ridiculous. But we're gonna smack that in the face too. So the state was the plaintiff in this case. The state cannot be an injured party. Acts committed within the state of Florida, and I took this from the document, whether for good or bad purpose or whether with honest or criminal intent, cannot be made an offense against the state unless it has some relation to execution of the power of Congress or to some other matter within jurisdiction of the state. See United States versus Fox. And I'll leave these case law in a comment section when the video is done uploading, because they're very, very powerful. The courts of the United States, merely by virtue of this grant of judicial power and in absence of legislation by Congress, municipal court has no criminal jurisdiction whatsoever. The criminal jurisdiction of the United States is wholly devised from statutes of the United States. See Manchester versus Massachusetts. Oh, interesting. So criminal jurisdiction is wholly derived from the statutes of the United States. Statutes. That word statute should always like draw a special pause in your mind, because remember when we talked about this, statutes and codes are not considered valid laws because they do not have the necessary element, the three elements to be considered a valid law. So that right there is grounds to challenge whatever crap they're sticking in your face. Most people don't, because most people don't really think it could be that simple. Most people think I need an attorney. Well, not most people. I don't work with those people because they have no idea. Now, we already learned that statutes and codes do not have three elements to be considered a valid law, so they can't get a court jurisdiction. This is what you want to be suing the judge for. Well, one of the things you want to sue the judge for. You can add this to the two things that's in the $75 lawsuit package. You have to take out the Fair Debt Collection Act practice stuff if you use that package to sue the traffic court judge or the traffic court prosecutor or whomever is traffic courting your ass out of your money. So acts of Congress, as well as the Constitution, must generally unite to give jurisdiction to a particular court. See U.S. versus Bedford. And like I said, I'll post this. I'll post these in the comment section below. So now we're to the juicy part. The traffic citation trap scheme. Now, this is like a speed trap, but the cops stage it to force you into the citation situation. And now, so what happens is the cops move the barricade sign back into the blocked street so that people driving down the street to turn onto the street that's blocked can't see the barricades until they've already committed to making the turn. So if you turn your signal on and you're about to turn into the turn, then all of a sudden you don't turn in, then the dude behind you is going to smack into you, or you can have a problem. Most people don't even see the barricades until you actually have turned into the one-way street, or the blocked off street, excuse me. And then the cops spring out and issue a ticket for turning past the blocked off road, and they issued this young man a ticket for driving left to the center lane because you had to turn around because you couldn't go through. Generally, if you get a ticket for passing the barricade, you pass the barricade for a purpose, and the ticket is still ridiculous because it's a code. It's not even, or I don't know. Yeah, it's a code. A code is below a statute. A code doesn't have any legal enforce, and a code can't give the court jurisdiction to do anything from where I'm sitting. A little bit of a problem, but that's what they do. So then they come out and then they start asking you a bunch of questions, and then if you don't kiss their ass, then you end up like this young man getting arrested because you refused to. Okay, so I turned right. Oh, you turned past the sign, so you're admitting that you ran the sign. No, there's no right answer. The best thing you can do is keep your mouth shut, and that's what you learn in the hood. The cops get in your face in the hood, you keep your mouth shut. That way, the cops ain't jamming with you, and ain't nobody else looking for your ass. It's simple. So that's how they do it. They set it up so that you kind of get yourself in a trick bag, and then they decide how they want to do it in the end because they think they got control of you, but they don't really have any control over you if you know where to find the coach. So what I've done is I'm in the process of structuring a traffic citation package, and the first document that we're going to use is the sanction motion that I put together to file against the prosecutor and the police officer. And I'm going to share the screen and show you guys. And Rule 11 mandates that Rule 11 mandates that bar members are supposed to do a reasonable pre-file investigation before they file anything in court. And they don't do any kind of a pre-file investigation. And your argument here is simple. They never did an investigation, and you're filing motions for sanctions in the amount of $3.5 million because of the fact they did not do an investigation. Had they done an investigation, they would have uncovered all of the things that you have listed in your sanction motion and all of the things that you have listed in your $75 lawsuit that you have not filed yet. And the reason you don't want to file that yet because you want to punch him in the face with the sanction motion first. You want to punch him in the face with the motion to challenge the jurisdictional challenge with an affidavit. You want to punch him in the face with that. And then you want to punch him in the face with the jurisdictional challenge affidavit motion to moot. That motion is with the jurisdictional challenge with an affidavit. Get those two things filed, and the sanction motion stuck in their face. Now, before you file these, I know it's complicated now with this COVID-19 and shit. The courts are getting away with a bunch of bullshit, but before you file them, what I would suggest before I file anything in court, I would want to get it placed on the public record. And you go down to the courthouse or whatever, I don't know how they do it now, and they place it on the public record. They stamp it showing it's placed on the public record. They usually charge like $10. Now, what that does is that takes the control out of the court about how they want to handle your document. Because, and I haven't done a lot of research on this, just a little bit, when you place it in the public record, it's kind of considered to be encumbrance. So when you file in court with that stamping on it, they have to respect it more and do the right shit, or they're supposed to. So I haven't tried that, but that's just some of the shit that I run across when I'm learning and studying for stuff. And I like to throw it out there for people, because if you're backed up against a wall, and like this young man spent his whole life fighting for, half his life fighting for our country, and now he's looking at being thrown in jail over some stupid ass shit like this, then you want to make sure that you have all of your ends covered and all the T's dotted. And that motion for sanctions is like a counterclaim in the lawsuit, and it messes up their whole shit. It messes up. And if the judge allows them to go through, then you'll go after the judge too, and that shit too. Yeah, it's whoever's helping them screw you over. That's who you put on your shit. That's the way you do it from the hood. Okay, whoever helped them kick your ass is who you're looking for when it's time to come back. Mm-hmm. So that's how you do that. You want to add them to it. So once that happens, now the prosecutor has got to, once you do that, now the prosecutor's got to lawyer up. Now you just blew up their traffic court case because you filed this counterclaim, but it's not an actual counterclaim, so they can't make you follow all the rules for a counterclaim. A little bit of a problem. And now the prosecutor got a lawyer up, and they got to respond to this, and they still got to worry about your ass and the traffic thingy going on. So yeah, now you can see how this works. You have to change your strategy. In my program, we are not going into court asking the judge for shit or anybody else. We're not going into court waiting for the judge to rule in our favor, okay? We're going to go into court and just stay in the ring and keep punching their ass and get the shit on the record that you need to sue the judge with. So as soon as the judge lets them, gives them a free pass, bam, you can just smack them right in the face with what you got. And in the end, you're going to be using the court record as your evidence. It's going to be a whole lot easier to prove all that shit that you already got filed on court versus this other crap over here trying to prove this other crap. Think about it. And I tell you, if the cops are harassing you and you've kept your ass out of trouble, then what I'd be doing, I don't care if I was black, white, or green, I'd be calling the freaking media. After I got your shit filed in court, after you got your sanction motion filed and your challenge of jurisdiction filed and your motion to moot filed, I would be contacting the media and asking them, hey, I didn't want to waste your time. This is what's going on. Give them a quick in a nutshell. Let me shoot you over the documents that I got filed in court. They're file stamped. So you shoot them over your documents and they look at it and like, oh, this is badass. Let me call the prosecutor and see what the prosecutor got to say. Prosecutor got no comment. Prosecutor got another attorney talking on her behalf. No, I think, yes, I like that plan. Yeah. So maybe we should catch up with the officer and see what he has to say about it. I'm sure the officer's lips are closed-pinned shut as well. So now is the time when you need to whip out your lawsuit for them violating your constitutional rights. Oh, wait. Now it's a good time to whip out your lawsuit going after the judge, the prosecutor, and the attorney for violating the Administrative Procedures Act, blah, 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 blah. You get that filed, and then you can start working on your lawsuit for them violating your constitutional rights. The whole time here, you're working toward the settlement. The settlement. Because they can't. Okay. When you put together, let's scroll down here and show you guys this. So the court didn't have jurisdiction to do any of this. And we mentioned that, and we talked about this. And now we go down here, and what we've done here is I took the police officer's report, and then I turned it into what I needed to have it to say. I turned it into what really happened. And so here goes the accident. The accident was filed with a defective affidavit because the police officer did not state the true facts in his report. The officer did not note in his report that the signs blocking off the street had been moved back out of plain view. The officer did not mention in his report the fact the driver could not see the barricades until after they committed to turning into the blocked off street. Officer didn't mention these things in his report. When the cars make a U-turn on the blocked off street, the police spring out to issue their illegal citation. And one of the things they give you a ticket for is driving left of the center line. That sounds pretty damn serious, don't it? You're driving left of the center line, your insurance is going to be like, what the, dude? Oh, wait. The officer didn't say it was left of the center line on a blocked off street and you were left of the center line because your ass was turning the hell around. And I was reading his report and I could tell it was bullshit because he went into great detail on how serious a blockage it was and the tape that was going across the thing and all of this stuff. Like, what the hell's that shit got to do with anything? Okay. So we already talked about when an officer from the executive branch of government issues a summons, a citation, and signs it in place of a judicial officer of the court, it's a violation of separation clause of the Constitution. Now, they don't care, but what you need to do if you ain't having this is get this shit on the record and sue them for it. That's how you do it. Unless you want to do an appeal and waste your damn time, and while you're waiting on the appeal to answer, you're running out of your time. Yeah, so you see how that rolls. So okay. So the code the officer claimed was violated is not a valid law. The Florida state constitution mandates that for something to be a valid law, it has to have three elements. We talked about that. Codes and revised statutes do not contain these three elements. They are not valid laws that can provide jurisdiction to the court. This appears to be a citation trap officers use to harass black drivers. You could put white drivers in there, or Hispanic drivers, Mexican drivers, green drivers, drivers from Mars. It don't matter because they're profiling you and they set you up. The officer report shows the driver invoked his Fifth Amendment right, which angered the officer, and that's why the driver was arrested and treated like a black criminal. You can use white criminal if you're white. You just got to throw that shit in there. And you know, if you stayed out of trouble, you play your cards right. Right now, this is a hot item for the media to pick up, especially when they see you got file stamp documents and there is there's no prosecutor. There's no prosecutor. So that's all I want to show on that. So you guys, if you're in a situation where you need this sanction motion that I just put together. If you're in traffic court and they're blowing smoke in your face, you can contact me and through my email address. And I'll send you a link, a payment link, and you can just, I'm going to put this for $75 also. And you can just make a payment, and then I'll send you the file. I'm going to do it that way until I get it posted on my website. I'm in the process of having GoDaddy building me a brand new website, so I'm kind of trying to hold off on posting too much stuff till the new website's up and running, because I have to learn a whole bunch of new stuff. But I'm game. I'm willing to do whatever it takes. That's what I've been making you guys do. So I got to be willing to do the same thing. So if you guys need that sanction motion, send me an email, and in the comment section, just write citation trap. Yeah. Citation trap. This package and strategy will mess up their program and leave you the driver of the bus. So if you've been a victim of traffic citation trap or speeding, it doesn't matter. Okay, if they're coming after you with a city ordinance or a statute or any of that, all this stuff works. It don't matter what they call it, because it's all fraud what they're doing, unless you hurt somebody. If you don't hurt somebody, then what they're doing is fraud. So send me an email and write citation trap, and then I'll send you over a payment link. And I'm going to do a new video when I get it all put together, and you guys will. I'll probably do another feature on it too, so you can keep up with what's going on it. Tomorrow night, I'm going to go over the jurisdictional challenge with an affidavit. I'm going to talk about some problems that people are having, and mainly the problem that they're having is they're leaving it in state court too long and allowing the judge to rule on it instead of moving it over to federal court like the game plan suggests. And we're going to talk about the remedy that we put together for that, because I realize sometimes people have a struggle to get all those documents filled out and get them in court and still go to work and pick up your kids from school and stuff. So that's one of the things we're going to talk about tomorrow. I want to touch on that because that jurisdictional challenge with affidavit is so badass document. But people need to be a little more aware of how to use it and what to do when it gets denied, so you can keep them, so you can keep control of the ball in your half of the field. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. And I got a couple other things, but that's all I want to throw on the table for now. Let me go back and see. Okay. So I got a lot of comments here I missed while I'm finishing up my presentation. Nikki says they make you watch a video that shows you driving through the red light. Yeah, but you get to cross-examine somebody, Nikki. So anyway, it's not going to come down to that if you're in my program, whether you drove through the light or not. It's not going to come down to none of that. Okay, guys, that's about all I have to share with you guys tonight. And I want to send you guys over a link to my online course. I had 2 people enroll in it last week. And I think that I think I have 51 people total enrolled in my new online course. And I don't hardly hear shit from anybody. So that's a good sign. And my lawsuit packages are still on sale. And the property tax package went back up. So that got taken off sale. So if you need one of these lawsuit packages, you probably should grab it up before it gets taken off the sale too. And I want to post another link. This one to the judicial package. I want to post a link to my credit card. I can't talk. My credit card advance lawsuit package. I got it on sale right now, $200, and this lawsuit package is undefeated. Yeah, they tried to shut me down over this lawsuit package a while back. It's been updated since then, and it's still undefeated. So that's about all I have for you guys tonight. I appreciate the privilege of your time, and I'll see you guys tomorrow night.